Just a second here. Sorry. Oh, yep. Looks like it's recording. All right. So, COVID-19, how's everybody doing as far as working?
They gave me twice the hours.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so we had some we had some students that was doing both our facility and another facility, and they didn't want that due to the sickness thing. So they
Mm-hmm.
say either you work here or we have to, you have to stay where you are.
Okay.
There's no contamination. So it's no contamination. My facility does not have COVID at all. We never did. We shut it down when they said that we have to have masks. They shut it down.
Uh-huh.
The administrator shut it down. So
Okay.
we don't get no visitors since then, since they approved the mask.
Okay.
And we sterilize anything that's coming in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So we wear a mask throughout the shifts, and we only can work there.
Okay.
And we only can go home and go there and wear a mask, make sure we do good copy.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, so during this COVID-19, there's been, of course, a health scare, a huge health crisis, and also a financial one. So, of course, I'm in the area of finances. And so I thought it would be good to just talk about some financial lessons that I've either learned or have been reinforced as we've been going through this pandemic. Feel free to ask questions as I go along. All right, so pre-COVID life, we're working our 9 to 5 job, right? We're working our, first shift, second shift, third shift. We were working overtime, maybe some part-time hustles on the side. We were paying our bills. We were comfortable. Some people might have struggled a little bit, but there was some comfortability with paying your bills. Looking forward to spring break. I have a coworker who would let us know every week how many weeks she had left to get ready to be on the beach. Our children were learning physically in school, and life was good, or so we thought. But then the unthinkable happened. We were told to shelter in place. We were told to, okay, at the end of the day here, we want you guys to go home and you're going to work from home indefinitely. Shopping, going to grocery stores. I know my husband called me and told me, don't go to the shopping, don't go to Meijer. We're going to sign up for Ship Shopping. And I thought that was unthinkable that somebody else was going to do my shopping, but we made it through. Essential versus non-essential work classification. Now, essential worker. So, Patricia, you said you're an essential worker. You worked in the medical field.
Yes, ma'am.
There are other people, truck drivers, people working at the grocery stores, things like that. And then you had non-essential, and a lot of the non-essential workers were either told to go home and work from home, or, you're laid off. So there's unemployment. There are people who were furloughed. There are people whose hours were reduced. I've talked with graduates who still had their jobs, but their overtime was cut, and they were relying on that overtime to help meet all of their bills. And then children will have to do school from home. And I thought it was funny over the first couple weeks looking at social media and seeing all the posts that parents were posting about being sorry, telling their parent or telling their teachers, I'm sorry, I didn't know my children were that way. And, just putting some humor to kind of a stressful situation.
True.
And how many of us saw the empty shelves? I mean, never would I thought that Lysol spray, disinfectant wipes, sanitizer, bottled water, toilet paper, if I didn't have parents who were, who made sure things were stocked, and so that was kind of ingrained in me, we would have had issues. But thankfully we had bottled water and we had toilet paper to get us through. But I can recall that a few weeks ago, I texted some friends and was like, I'm at Meijer and they have disinfectant wipes. You better hurry up and get here before they before they run out. So anybody have any similar experiences?
Yeah, I did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and we didn't make it to the store in time to get nothing.
Uh-huh.
So we just had to sit in the house and wait for it. You know what I'm saying? Them that you know, to get their supplies back in stock, and it was it was chaotic.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So.
But what about that second wave that we supposed to get?
Right. I don't know. So now we have warning. So let's get stocked up, right?
Right.
All right. So as we were going along and as I'm, thinking, listening to different financial podcasts, a lot of the questions rose, and one in particular, what now? Is there going to be a rainbow after this storm? Is there going to be a silver lining to this cloud that we seem to be surrounded by? And in particular, with our finances. So the question is, and this is a rhetorical question, where do you stand when it comes to your finances? Do you feel secure, and do you feel that your finances are stable? Do you feel uneasy and unsure? And it might not necessarily be uneasy because you don't have enough money, but it could be that you're an essential worker and you're feeling uneasy about interacting with the public a lot. Or are you somewhere in between? So as you're thinking about these last couple months, have you had an I've had it moment? Have you just sat down one day and said, you know what? Not being prepared financially has not been a good thing for me. And I've had it. I need to do something to make a change. So are you ready to take the steps that are needed to change your current situation? Remember the definition of insanity? You're continuing to do the same thing over and over, but you're expecting something to be different. So you're saying, oh, I'm paying my bills. I might put away a little bit of money, but I'm not paying as much attention to my money. And I'm not getting a different result. Well, now you know that you need to make a change. So Les Brown, who is a famous motivational speaker, found a quote from him. I thought it was appropriate. It says, you must take action now that will move you towards your goals. Don't continue to move that starting line of, okay, I'm going to start tomorrow. I'm going to start tomorrow. Because remember, back in March, that tomorrow, we didn't know tomorrow was going to be COVID and 4 months in self-quarantine or in quarantine or shelter in place, right? So we need to develop a sense of urgency in our lives today to make a change. So the three questions, or the answer to this what now, is never again. Never again will I not have control of my financial future. Never again will I not have a plan for my money. Never again will I be caught without an emergency fund. That's where that sense of urgency comes from. So 3 main lessons that I've learned that we're going to talk about today. And again, these are lessons that have been, more beefed up now that we've been going through this pandemic. And we're going to talk about these 3 today. Next week, we'll be talking about some other lessons. So first lesson, we'll go through all 3 and then we'll break them down more. First lesson, setting SMART goals for your financial future. And these are short-term SMART goals and long-term SMART goals. SMART is an acronym, and we're going to go through that acronym in just a minute. Create and actively use a cash flow spending plan. Oh,
I'm sorry.
You're fine. So that cash flow spending plan, that's just a nice way to say a budget. And then begin to build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Now you might be thinking 3 to 6 month emergency fund, wow, that's a lot for me to have to start to build. And you might want to start building a smaller one, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But the goal will be to have some money set aside so that, like Willie, you mentioned, what about a second wave? Let's say there's a second wave that comes with the COVID and you have to be off for another 3 months. You have that money set aside to be able to survive. All right, just a second here. All right. Okay. Any questions before we go through the 3 lessons? Okay. So first lesson is setting those SMART goals. What is a SMART goal? A SMART goal is a carefully planned, clear, and trackable objective. So the acronym is, and we're going to talk about this in just a minute in more detail, but a SMART goal is specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, relevant, and time-based. So specific means you're being clear as possible with what you want to achieve. You don't want to say something just, oh, I want to get a new job, or, oh, I want to save money, or I want to lose weight. You want to be more specific and be clear about what you want to achieve. Measurable, setting milestones along the way will give you the opportunity to reevaluate. So if you want to save money, how much money? So make it specific. I want to save $10,000, or I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, attach a number to it. Make sure it's attainable or achievable. Setting goals that you can reasonably accomplish will keep you motivated, keep you focused. If you set a goal that is too high to reach, then you're gonna fall away and be unfocused. But you also want to make sure it's not too low that it's not challenging. So you want to make sure that it's a challenging goal that you can achieve, and make course corrections if necessary. Make sure it's relevant. Make sure your goal aligns with your values. So if you want financial security, and we all want financial security, so that goal of saving an emergency fund, that's related to our values, right? And then make sure you have a deadline. Make sure it's time-based. To give yourself an end date so that helps you to prioritize what you're doing. Okay, prioritize your money, prioritize your extra money that you might be coming in. Okay, so here's an example of a SMART short-term goal. So my short-term goal is to start to save a beginner emergency fund. So that's specific. It's not just save money. Start to save a beginner emergency fund, which will be measured by saving $1,000. So there's my measurement. I will accomplish this goal by setting aside $100 every 2 weeks, which I know is realistic. So it's something that's achievable because I get paid every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks I set aside that $100. Is it relevant to my values? Yes, because it's important for my finances to be secure, to have at least that starter emergency fund. And then is it time-based? Is there a deadline? Yes, by the end of 5 months, I want to have this money set aside. Now, because of COVID, you might want to speed that up and say in the next 2 to 3 months to have that starter emergency fund set up. Okay, so first lesson was setting up goals. Second lesson, or setting SMART goals. Second lesson is to create and use a budget. Now, a lot of times people don't like to talk about budgets because it feels like it restricts you, but it doesn't restrict you. It's simply a financial plan for your money. It's giving you permission to spend. And right now during COVID, you might need to create an emergency or a crisis budget. So if your hours have been cut, if your overtime that you have been banking on before has been cut or reduced, if you have been unemployed, these are things that you want to have money set aside so that you can get through this this situation before your hours increase or before you get a new job. It takes your income and expenses into account. So budgeting is basically taking your income and then subtracting your expenses. So again, with that emergency budget, you want to figure out what expenses are essential, what are your needs versus your non-essential or your wants. So your essentials would be things like what? Your housing, your transportation to get to work, food, and your utilities. So once you make sure with the income that you have coming in, those 4 things are set, then you start to prioritize those non-essentials. Of course, you might have other essentials like childcare, or you might have some minimum payments on some credit card debts. But also keep in mind, with your debts, you can reach out to your lenders, you can reach out to your creditors and try to work out a plan if your hours have been decreased, or if you have, if you're unemployed, to see if you can work out a plan. Because again, you want to make sure you have enough money for your food, your shelter, your utilities. Creating a budget and sticking to it can help you reach your short-term and long-term goals. It also provides peace of mind. So creating a budget should start at the beginning of the month. And what's today? July the 1st. So first day of the month, the first couple of days of the month, you want to start your budgeting for the whole month. So you should look ahead and know how much money potentially you're going to be getting. So if you're unemployed, you pretty much know how much you're going to be getting based on what you've been getting the past couple months. If you have been working from home, your hours haven't been adjusted or changed at all, and you get paid every 2 weeks, July is a magic month for you. You might get paid on the 3rd, the 17th, and the 31st. So you get paid 3 times. So you get an extra paycheck. So you can budget for that extra money to put towards some of your short-term goals, to put towards some debt if you're comfortable that your hours are not going to be reduced or cut based on COVID. Along with making a budget, you want to track your expenses. So tracking your expenses is so important and key to creating an accurate monthly budget. You can set your budget, but then if you go through the month and you spend money for groceries, but you don't know exactly how much you spent, you're not going to know if that budget was accurate. So there are many ways that you can keep track of how you spend. And those ways are just old-fashioned pen and notebook, writing down when you go grocery shopping, how much money you spend. You can put it on a monthly calendar. So again, today is July 1st. You pay your rent, you paid your mortgage, you put that in July 1st. You know that on the 20th, you pay for your car insurance. You know on the 15th, you pay your car payment. So those things, you're tracking that. Either you can use an Excel spreadsheet, some type of computer application. You can use a phone app. If you use your debit card a lot, you can use your banking statements, or a combination. Sometimes people use cash to pay for their groceries. But again, you're writing these things down. So then at the end of the month, you can reconcile and see, let's say, for example, you set $400 for groceries. At the end of the month, you add up all of your grocery expenses and you only spent $350. Okay, so you have $50 left. So then the next month, you can decide, do I want to keep that $400 for that budget, or do I want to bring it down $50? Or do I need to increase it because maybe in the month of August, I have a family reunion. I'm going to have to buy extra groceries. So your budget is fluid. That's why we call it a cash flow spending plan, because it changes from month to month. No month is ever the same. So you might say, what if my budget isn't perfect? Well, your budget's not going to be perfect. I've been tracking expenses and doing budgeting for years, and things change. But give yourself about 90 days. Give yourself about 3 months to get a good working budget going. And again, if your income has decreased by like maybe 10, 15%, you might want to decrease your expenses 10, 15%. But you're doing this at the beginning. You're driving, looking through the windshield as opposed to the rear view mirror, okay, when you're doing your budgeting. So there are two situations that could happen. You could have more money to spend after you create your budget. If that's the case, take some of that extra money and throw it toward one of your financial goals, maybe to beef up your emergency fund more, or to pay off some debts. And we're going to talk about paying off debts next week. Or second situation, a little more dire or a little more serious, you have more bills or expenses to pay after you create your budget. Okay, I see somebody has a little chat. Oop. Okay, somebody have a question? Anybody there? Okay. Oop. All right. So third lesson is having a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So we have our SMART goal set, we have our budget, and now we have our emergency fund. An emergency fund is just a cash reserve specifically set aside for unplanned expenses. So what's the biggest unplanned expense right now, or biggest financial emergency? Loss of income because of COVID. And, you know, maybe you worked in a restaurant. Maybe you're working in a restaurant or other places that weren't necessarily essential. And so they sent you home. And they told you were going to get unemployment, but due to so many people collecting unemployment, it took a while. And some people, it took maybe 6 weeks to 2 months before they were finally able to get that unemployment. Other unplanned expenses, car repairs, home repairs, medical bills. Okay, just to name a few. All right, so how do we build an emergency fund? Just a few things. Set a SMART goal. Again, these will help you to stay motivated, stay on track. So when you're looking at your expenses and you're seeing how much it takes to run your household every month, maybe you look at it and you see it takes $2,500 to run your household. Then 3 to 6 months would be, okay, I need about $7,500 set aside. I need $15,000 set aside. Now, they may seem like a large goal, but you can break it down, you know, piece by piece. But again, that's helping you to stay motivated, stay on track. Creating a system for making consistent contributions. If you're someone who you get your money and it's hard for you to take the money to the bank to put it in the savings account, you can create a system to do that. So it automatically takes money out of your checking account and putting it into your savings account. Regularly monitor your progress. So maybe you have an alert system on your phone that says, "Ooh, $200 was just put into your savings account." Or you just check out your online banking every 2 weeks or every month. And that gives you encouragement to keep going. You see that money that's been increasing.
Well, you got a while before the next pill, but until then, I've got.
All right, celebrate your successes. As you see that, you know, after the first month, you might have, or the first 2 months, you have $1,000 set aside in your emergency fund. And this is separate from your checking account. Again, I want to emphasize your emergency fund is just for those unexpected events or situations. So you don't want to have it commingled with your checking account. You know, you don't want to, and you'll probably be good at saying, okay, in my checking account, I have $2,000. Okay, I know $1,000 of that is for my emergency fund, because situations could arise and you're like, oh, I've got an extra $1,000. So you want to make sure that is in a separate account. Sometimes people put their savings in a whole separate bank. Maybe it's a bank that's across town so that you're not tempted to go and actually, you know, take that money out. Celebrate your successes. If you have to borrow money from your emergency fund, make sure you replenish it as quickly as possible. All right. So find your financial stability. Again, emphasizing, get your financial house in order. So your foundation is your SMART goals, your budget, and your emergency fund all together to give you that beginning financial stability. All right, so I have some information here as far as how to contact me. Again, some people came on a little after I started talking. I think there's a Carrie, and I saw Barson come on. So hello. So here's some contact information. My 2 email addresses. My KNHS email address is a little shorter, easier to type in. I also have my Urban Alliance email address and my cell phone number there. Again, I'm the financial coach for the connection between Urban Alliance and KNHS. So if you have questions about, you know, needing help to start setting up your budget or, you know, just talking about some initial things, I'm free. I'm welcome to talk with you. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Uh-oh. I see Barson. Hey there. Anyway, any questions? Anybody have any questions? So next week, we're going to meet here, same link, same time, more financial lessons learned during COVID, talking about paying off debts. And we might emphasize some of what we talked about already today with budgeting and with setting up emergency funds if we need to set up some examples. And then the week after that, we're going to talk about credit, looking at your credit report. If you're a Momentum graduate, I can pull your credit report for you for free. We'll just have to, I can email you an acknowledgement, just give me permission to run your credit report. I can run that for you and send it to you, and we can, you know, discuss it if necessary. So, all right.